What's up guys, Wookie2312 here, and in today's going to talk about the possible weapon, the weapon buffs coming to Call of Duty Advanced Warfare in the coming weeks. So as you guys know, the DLC launches tomorrow, Tuesday the 2nd of June, and also a week after that. I didn't cover this, but I guess most of you guys know about this, but some of the elite items are going to be retired. Some of them are going to be, there's going to be new legendary elite items. So after all those weeks and after all these new patches and new DLCs, we're also going to get a weapon buff in a few weeks time. So Michael Condrey recently put on Twitter, he's basically tuning an early look on the buffs to some certain guns, and he does say that it's weeks out, so we won't expect these changes anytime soon, or at least after the after DLC comes out and after those new legendary items obviously come out. So yeah, so let's talk about the weapon buffs that Michael Condrey is looking into buffing. So let's get on to the first one, which is the PDW. So as you guys know, this is the machine pistol in Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I gotta be honest, it's a pretty terrible pistol. It's one of the worst machine pistols in Call of Duty history in my opinion, and that's looking to get a possible buff. I personally have the PDW Chucker, which has +2 fire rates, and I've got that in the Kimbo, so it's actually really good. I actually really quite like it. So if that gets buffed, that'd be really cool. I think a lot of the pistols in this game do need to get a buff, so I'm glad some of these pistols are in there to get a buff, because I really think they do, because I think they are the worst pistols in Call of Duty history. So let's get on to the next weapon that could possibly be buffed, which is the MP443. So this was first shown in Call of Duty Ghosts. If you remember, it was a single shot pistol, but now it's turned into it's like a 2-shot pistol. So basically, it's a 2-round burst every time you obviously know what the gun is, but it's basically a 2-round burst pistol. It's a very awful pistol, like the PDW. It's honestly one of the worst pistols going. So I'm glad that that's getting a buff as well, because obviously some of these pistols are really awful and they do need to get a buff. So on to the next weapon here, which is the Atlas 45. So this is all the pistols now that are going to get a buff, obviously besides the RW1, because that's actually a pretty decent pistol, and it's very good for people who are accurate with it. So this is just all the normal pistols that are going to get buffed, so that's obviously really cool. And now let's go on to the other weapon now, which is the crossbow. Not many people use the crossbow. I can see why, because it's not very viable. It's not like Black Ops 2, the crossbow, the Black Ops 1 crossbow. I think it's really awful, that crossbow, so I'm glad it's getting a buff. Maybe the blast radius will be increased or something like that, so that will obviously be really cool. And next up to get a buff, which is honestly the thing I'm excited for most, which is the MP11 that's going to get a buff, because personally, I think the MP11 is a very good gun. I think it's a very solid gun. However, I do find it very weak against the ASM1s, KF5s, and so on. I personally have the MP11 Goliath, so I'm happy if this got a buff. Maybe increase the damage or increase the range. That'd be obviously really cool. So I can't wait for that to get a buff, because I really don't want to use my MP11 Goliath, but it does get outdone by the ASM1 and the KF5. So another gun that is going to get a buff is the single stack 3, because as you guys know, that came out a few weeks ago now, and personally I don't really like the single stack 3. If you watched T Martin's video a few weeks ago, he basically compared the MP11 and the stack 3, and they were exactly the same stats wise. So obviously if the MP11's get a buff, the single stack 3 is going to get a buff, so that's obviously really cool, because I personally have one of the elite variants, as you saw in my previous advanced supply drop openings, so I really want to try that. However, I do think the single stack 3 is very weak and very underpowered. So yeah, the last gun that's going to get buffed is the Moore sniper rifle. This is obviously really cool. I don't think the Moore sniper rifle really does need to get buffed. Maybe the aim down sight time does need to be a bit shorter, because I find it a bit slow. But I do think the Moores is a really good sniper. However, it's also good to get a buff, because it's obviously not one of the strongest weapons, and it'll make the Moore sniper rifle a more viable weapon for people to choose. So it'll also obviously be really cool. So that's what he says in the tweet. He says, tuning early luck buffs to PDW, MP443, Atlas 45, crossbow, MP11, single stack 3 Moores, weeks out still, but hashtag inside dev. So that's the information we got into this video. It's a really cool video. Of course, if you did like the video, leave a like, that'd be greatly appreciated. And I can't wait for this buff that's going to come out in the coming weeks. My best bet is going to come out around the middle of June, because obviously we've got to wait till the actual DLC comes out tomorrow, and a week later on June 9th, that's when the legendary gear is going to come out. So obviously they don't want to put the patch in when the legendary gear is coming out, so they kind of want to spread it out. And I expect this buff to come out maybe a week after the legendary stuff comes out, when it all starts to get died down, and a new patch would be really cool. And these weapon buffs, obviously if they do happen, all these aren't exactly confirmed because you might find out that it doesn't need a buff or there's like something wrong, but yeah, pretty much certain that these guns are going to get a buff, so that's obviously really cool. And as always, thanks for watching.